Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm Dorothy. I'm a professional astrologer. You can find me on the web at nhastrologer.com. Click that little letter I in the corner of this video and the drop down card will bring you right to my website. So today I want to talk about the month of August, and I'll do this for each of the zodiac signs. But as a preference, I want you to take quick notes here and remember these things first, and then I'm going to get into each individual sign. Got quite a few things going on in August. I've got at least 20 things to talk about. But a couple of the main things that are going on that are very, very important is this whole month we still have Venus in her retrograde motion in the sign of Leo. And with Venus retrograde, this is that time period where we're reevaluating our values. We're reevaluating some love relationships and partnerships. And we really can be even working on our own self-esteem and our own values and the things that we value just personally about ourselves, because that Venus energy does represent very personal energy. All right, so keep that in mind when I talk about Venus throughout the specifics of each of these videos. And I also want to mention that in the first couple weeks, the first week's actually pretty much close to the first 10 days of August, we have quite a few planets at the final 1 or 2 degrees of each of their respective zodiac signs, and mainly it's Saturn at 28 Scorpio, Venus and Jupiter are both at the 28 and 29th degree of Leo. And when we have these energies, when planets are at the end of the zodiac signs, it creates a sense of urgency. So up until I talk about August 11th, before then, Venus and Saturn and Jupiter transits are all going to have a feeling of urgency around them. So just remember that, and let me get to the details of what's going on now. Okay? All right. Hi Leo, this one's for you. There's a lot going on this month, so this is definitely for you, because there's a lot of Leo energy present. If you didn't know that yet. So Leo or Leo rising, this is what we have for you. So on August 1st, we're going to start with, or August 2nd, depends on where you live in the world, we have Saturn in stationary direct motion. So she's stationary, stationary, 28 degrees of Scorpio. Remember I said in the beginning that that 28th, 29th degree of every zodiac sign means there's a sense of urgency. So keep that in mind with everything that I say as far as the end of Scorpio and the end of Leo goes. It goes on in your solar 4th house. So that means over the last couple of years there has been some shifts and changes at home for you. All right, so whether your whole household has crumbled and you've had to rebuild, or you're working through the empty nest syndrome, or whatever the case may be, the last couple of months Saturn has been in the sign of Scorpio, and now it is stationary, sitting still, and will move direct. It's only going to take a month or so for it to get back into the sign of Sagittarius and into another house. But in the meantime, while Saturn is stationary in your 4th house, you are focusing in on home and family. Now there's a few things that are going on with this that are actually giving this an extra boost of energy. And it's pretty positive stuff, honestly. I feel it is very, very positive, because if there are changes that need to happen, Saturn will help you make them. So you can make permanent shifts, because that's the only way that we grow. So it's like shedding our skin every once in a while. On August 3rd through the 6th, we have a whole bunch of things happening all at once, and they're very positive things. So we have retrograde Venus in Leo, again at that one of those final degrees. It's moving retrograde, so it's kind of getting smaller in numbers, not larger. So it is in a conjunction with Jupiter at 28 Leo. This is positive in your 1st house, so this is fantastic for, not really a good idea for cosmetic surgery. Don't do that while Venus is retrograde. Don't get married while Venus is retrograde either, because everything's just going to be karmic. Unless you want to work on your karma stuff, and then it's cool. All right, with a partner. But Venus retrograde, conjunct Jupiter in your 1st house, definitely has a lot to do with relationships and how you're putting yourself out there. Now, Venus also represents what we value and financial piece, part of the financial piece of the astrology chart. And so with it in that sign, it could be that you're looking at your finances, all right, and what is really going on with them. It also Venus also conjuncts Mercury, so there's a lot of communication going on with that. And then all three of these guys make a square aspect to Saturn. So from the first house, what I value, first house, who I am, what I value, how I communicate, what's important for me for expanding my knowledge, expanding what I'm passionate about. And you make a square aspect, a 90-degree angle to where Saturn is in that fourth house of home and family. It just means there's a little bit of a conflict here. So we're needing to figure out how to balance what needs to happen at home with home and family, and you need to figure out how you're going to balance that with what you need as a person and how you express yourself. If you have Leo rising, you're somebody who's very dramatic. If you are a Leo, you're going to be dramatic as well, depending on what it is that you do. And so it doesn't depend on what it is you do. Leos tend to have a lot of drama because they're passionate about things. That's what Leo is. So we're challenging us. We're being challenged because of that Saturn square, and being challenged to really focus in on those things that are creative for us. Okay. There's a lot more details. If you need to know your specific stuff, you know where to find me for your own private session. Now, August 8th, Mars moves into the sign of Leo, and that will be coming out of your 12th and into the 1st. Thank goodness. When Mars is in the 12th house, we always have a lot of internal dialogue going on, a lot of internal anger. Sometimes we're really upset with ourselves about stuff. But with Mars moving now safely into your 1st house, and over the next 7 weeks it will be in that sector, it will give all of these other Leo energies, the Mercury, the Venus, Jupiter, as it moves through over the next 7 weeks, it gives opportunities for us to take action where we have decided we want to take action. On the 11th of August, Jupiter is finally done with Leo for this whole last year, and it won't be in the sign again for 12 years. So it's moving into Virgo, into your 2nd house of finances. That 2nd house represents what I value. Jupiter usually expands things when it's going in there. So Jupiter moving through the 2nd house or in the 2nd house of a natal chart can be positive, can be very generous, very kind, somebody who loves a lot of different things. But the energy of Virgo is there. Jupiter is in its detriment in that sign because Jupiter wants to expand. Virgo wants us to focus in on the minute details. So there will be an uneasy shift going on. Like I mentioned before, to some people it's kind of like putting on a pair of jeans that you've just washed and they're nice and tight, or too tight. After a few hours or however long it takes, they start feeling a little better and you could fit in better because they stretch a little bit. That's what Jupiter and Virgo is going to be like for the first few weeks. We'll get used to it, but it'll take a little while. You might need to figure out how you're going to control your spending. Or Jupiter might actually ask you to loosen the purse strings. It could go either way. Now, depends on other things in your chart too, which we cannot cover here. On August 14th, we have a new moon, and that's at 21 degrees of Leo, and it will conjunct Venus at that point in time. Retrograde Venus still. I'm going to do a special forecast for the new moons, and I do the new moon and the full moon. I do a video forecast for them too, so come check that out when we get closer. I'll be on vacation till I think August 7th or 10th. I'll have it up as soon as I get back from vacation in time for the new moon, so come check it out then. But that goes on in your 1st house as well. So the new moon in the 1st house is way better than the new moon from last month in your 12th house. The 12th house new moon can bring up things we don't want to face about ourselves. The 1st house new moon, which this one will be for you Leos, it represents the energy of redefining yourself and what you're creative and passionate about. On the 19th, Venus makes a trine aspect to Uranus, and that's from the 1st house to the 9th house. And when we have that energy, what goes on with that, is that we're trying to, again, figure out how we're going to be creative, how we want to express ourselves, and how we want to do that in a learning environment. On the 23rd, the Sun moves into the sign of Virgo and shifts into your solar 2nd house. So again, you'll be focusing on your values, your finances, your own personal self-esteem, At the same time, a couple days later, on the 26th, the Sun will conjunct Jupiter, catches up with Jupiter, so we can focus in on what we value and what's important for us. All right. Let's see what I got left here. 2 more days. We've got August 29th. We have a full moon in Pisces that will be in your solar 8th house. So I'll do a forecast for the full moon with much more details, but when the full moon's in the 8th house, we also have Neptune and the Sun in an opposition 2 days later in from the 2nd house to the 8th house. So this is definitely 2 financial houses. What do I value? The Sun is highlighting the fact that you need to focus in on that Virgo energy. You might need to figure out how to put your books together, how to get your budget organized. Because with all that Neptune full moon and that Neptune energy up in that 8th house where we owe money, and money we can use or borrow, like college loans, mortgages, credit cards, they either come to a head and we need to start paying things back, or we're being, we're being offered financial support. That's always the best one to have. I would like to have financial support too. So there's a lot going on for this whole month. There's quite a few shifts and changes for every one of us. And I'm going to leave you with that. So thank you very much for listening. Please come to my website, online classes, private sessions through Skype or the phone, and all memberships too. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for finding. Please share. Blessed be. Namaste.